By every sort of metric, The Weeknd is one of the biggest artists of the 2010s, and probably the biggest of this current decade. The Weeknd's influence throughout the past couple of years is very noticeable. Although it's hard to pick this one thing that makes The Weeknd great, I genuinely think versatility is a great explanation for how The Weeknd is as great as he is.
Open your head.
The story starts in Toronto, where The Weeknd would upload 3 songs to his YouTube channel. The 3 songs in questions would be Loft Music, What You Need, and The Morning. And personally speaking, a song like The Morning kind of showed the potential that The Weeknd had from the jump. The hook on that song is one of my favorite Weeknd hooks of all time, but he's definitely weird for speaking out against his friend's credit. These songs would be the singles for The Weeknd's first mixtape, being House of Balloons, which would kick off The Weeknd's Trilogy Era, as House of Balloons would be one of 3 mixtapes to be put together into one album. But before going into the other 2, I think we need to look at House of Balloons a little bit deeper and kind of understand the blueprint that it was setting for who The Weeknd was. Starting off with the production, this is definitely different to anything that I've heard from 2011. Like, for example, Party Rock Anthem was the second biggest song of this year. And it's safe to say that The Weeknd was definitely on a different type of vibe than anything on the pop charts. The Weeknd would opt for a darker aesthetic, and you know, the instrumentation definitely reflects that. At times, I feel like the direction for this album was like, make a beat and then put it on reverse, and then we're gonna sing over it. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's definitely some elements of this on the album. In addition to its uniqueness, the instrumentation will definitely do a good job at matching well with the lyrics. The best example of this being the song House of Balloons / Glass Tables. To me, the song peaks at the end of the hook, as it kind of shows the fake happiness that the environment The Weeknd was on was bringing. And it's definitely easier to make note of this thanks to the instrumentation on the song. And what makes this song good, you can find consistently throughout the 9-track mixtape. This mixtape got The Weeknd a lot of buzz, at least relatively speaking, considering how small he was, and especially considering how mysterious he was. Like, he didn't do interviews, some people thought this was a group and not just a single guy. From my point of view, The Weeknd was eager to drop some more music though, because that same year he would drop 2 more mixtapes. Following House of Balloons, he would drop Thursday. I low-key preferred the instrumentation here rather than the one on House of Balloons. I don't necessarily think that the gap between the 2 is big, but I do feel like in Thursday he was able to take the best elements out of House of Balloons and kind of expand on that instrumentation. I think a song that illustrates this well is The Birds Part 1. As the beat definitely sounds like something that could have been on House of Balloons, but it has percussion though. And it's the little things like that that really make a change. Also, as a side note to this mixtape, I love the album cover. I'll return to making my favorite album cover videos one day. Probably my favorite song off of this is Lonely Star. In comparison to everything on House of Balloons, this is really upbeat. And I also do feel like the drums here are the best for the entire mixtape. And yeah, it's definitely worth the listen. So we're starting to see little cracks that show the potential of the diversity that The Weeknd can have with his sound. And going into Echoes of Silence, I think you can start to hear more of this evolution of sound when it comes to The Weeknd albums. In listening to this mixtape, when I heard the second track, I heard a Phil Collins type of vibe. In terms of the lyrics, it's still pretty similar to the first 2 mixtapes, but you know, it's not like I'm asking for a lot here. And that's not to say that it's bad, it's just saying that I know what to expect on here. I'm a sucker for pianos, and the lyrical content on this song is definitely dope. And I feel like it's a nice way to transition from this era to the next. And at the time, people were hyped for this new era of The Weeknd, especially with how positively received the whole trilogy was. People couldn't wait to see what his first official album was gonna look like. Unfortunately, his next project, being his first album, would be Kissland, and there was a lot of experimentation on the Weeknd side of things, trying to find his sound, the balance between pop and this dark, gritty sound still, which really led to it not meshing well for a lot of the tracks. Liking this album is definitely an acquired taste, not gonna lie. Personally, the highlight of this album is for sure Wanderlust. In terms of showing growth and evolution, I feel like this track embodies perfectly how The Weeknd's progression was going. And I feel like if the whole album was like Wanderlust, this would be a classic. In the production of it, I definitely hear a Thriller type beat, and I think this song is a nice bridge to his next album. As with his next album, The Weeknd would finally embrace the pop side of him, dropping Beauty Behind the Madness. Although you still get some of the elements of Trilogy and Kissland in a song like The Hills, for the most part though, this album really isn't like Trilogy or Kissland, and the best way to make note of this is by looking at the change in production. Can't Feel My Face is one of my favorite songs of the whole decade, and that's before I knew they were talking about coke.
I can feel my face when I'm with you.
I ain't gonna lie, as a kid, I didn't know at all. Like, it didn't make sense. I just didn't think much of it, just another dumb love song or something. People say dumb shit when they're in love. Like, that's what I was thinking. And thanks to the success of the song and the album as a whole, I think The Weeknd knew where to head for his next album. The Weeknd's next album would be I almost said Flower Boy, what the fuck? The Weeknd's next album would be Starboy, and even in comparison to his last album, this was a little bit different. From my understanding, this was done by design, because even outside of the music, The Weeknd would change his appearance, and you know, it makes sense. You don't want to be trapped in this box and stuck as a gimmick.
The vision wasn't there anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It was there, and then, you know, just like the music, it was getting really sad.
The Weeknd and Daft Punk mixed so well together, especially in Starboy. Starboy was for a long time one of my like top 5 favorite songs of all time, not gonna lie. And the other song with Daft Punk that would be on this album being I Feel It Coming.
Tell me what you really like.
I have a cool story with this song because my dad doesn't listen to a lot of English music. So when he heard this song, he thought it was like some unreleased Michael Jackson song. And even though we told him it wasn't Michael Jackson, he was vibing with it heavy. And he mainly listens to salsa, not gonna lie. Shout out to my dad. This album would definitely have more features than the ones before it, and my personal favorite was Kendrick Lamar on Sidewalk. Lyrically, that song goes hard. I ain't even gonna lie. And the song side shows to highlight really bring out The Weeknd's versatility, as every song sounds like a Weeknd song but distinctly different. Starboy would become one of the biggest hits of 2017, alongside I Feel It Coming as well, and everything seems to be going well. It will matter. Weeknd album, we would definitely get a darker version of The Weeknd once more. And you can probably tell by just looking at the album cover, displaying a lot of the mental anguish he was going through at the time. My Dear Melancholy was toning down the pop sound. Not to say that there wasn't any big songs on the album, as Call Out My Name was definitely a big song. But it wasn't to the level of Starboy or Beauty Behind the Madness. The length of the album isn't too long either. He definitely lets his emotions show, and instead of highlighting a song, I just think if you're sad, go listen to it. If you're not, you're probably not gonna like it, not gonna lie. And low-key, after an album like that, you kind of had to rebuild yourself and move on to another era. You know, kind of move forward in your evolution of sound. And The Weeknd would do just that by embracing his inner 80s pop style that he had in the bag. Obviously, in a song like Can't Feel My Face, you probably knew he had this in the bag, but he went full on out. And you probably wouldn't have been able to tell based on the lead single, which was Heartless. 'Cause I'm heartless. Which, hey, is a good song to return to after My Dear Melancholy. But honestly, that song wasn't as representative of the album as you might have thought it was, as the second single would be Blinding Lights. A song so successful that it has become the biggest song of all time, at least according to Billboard. Almost a decade into his career, The Weeknd would have his biggest single to date. And to be honest, it's almost impossible to get bigger than that. For future reference, I'm not gonna say, oh, but it wasn't Blinding Lights, because nothing else will be Blinding Lights ever. And it's why something like versatility is able to shine through with someone like The Weeknd. Because I feel like if he had stuck to the sound that everybody wants him to have, by now it would be getting repetitive. But as a result of switching it up constantly, Blinding Lights felt fresh. Old people liked it because it sounded like the old stuff, and younger people liked it because it was refreshing. And the same goes for a song like In Your Eyes. And again, you can hear the versatility based on just the production. There's a reason why this album was probably, in terms of songs, the biggest album of 2020. And there's a reason why Save Your Tears had a massive run in its second year. Alongside the music, The Weeknd would create a character and a storyline with this character based on music videos and stuff. And again, this kind of shows how much of a genius he might be. I do know he's done it for a while, the thing with the storyline and music videos thing, but this was a whole character. Throughout 2020 and 2021, when you saw The Weeknd in public, you saw him kind of reflect what was happening in the storyline of the videos, which I thought made the album that much more special. And truly, the success of all of this was enough to catapult The Weeknd into the halftime of the Super Bowl. And some people might have not liked it, but I did, so fuck them. And then we lead to the most recent. From what we know, this is supposed to be another bridge. So personally, I'm not as hard on this album as other people might be. Personally, I don't think it's as good as After Hours, but it's still pretty good. With the added wrinkle to this album being the narration from Jim Carrey. And before this, The Weeknd hasn't had narration on his albums. So as long as he's trying out stuff that is new, I'm all for it. As of right now, the songs that are being pushed off the album are Take My Breath, Sacrifice, and Gasoline. I think Less Than Zero will be the smash hit. I think it's the best song, and low-key it might be in my top 15, maybe even top 10 Weeknd songs of all time. And really, when we look at all these albums, we look at albums that all have a case for being the best. Well, most of them for the most part. And either through merch or instrumentation, the lyrical content inside a song, the music videos even, the album covers as well, The Weeknd is able to show that he is a very versatile human being. And that's why I believe him to be as great as he is. Shout out to the snowstorm that just hit for giving me an extra free day, and you know, J Dilla.